Hey everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video with me, Jamal Muse. If you're new to this channel, then welcome. Welcome, and I just want to tell you that this is a channel where we talk about all things stuttering or stammering. We talk about personal development, how to become the strongest and best version of yourself. Now, in this video, I want to talk about something that has really got me thinking over the last maybe 16 to 20 months, especially during the pandemic. And that is, why do some people actually go about changing their lives in a very positive way? They are an agent of change. They are able to bring changes into their life, whilst there are other people who do want to change, who do want to do something about their life, in particular their stutter, but they just can't seem to do anything about it. And they try this, they try that, and they just keep on falling flat on their face. So in this video, I want to talk about something that I've really been thinking about and what I think is the reason why certain people do change and other people do not. So in essence, I'm going to boil it down to three things. People only change a behavior if it falls into one of these three categories. Now, the first one is they change a behavior if they experience an epiphany. They have a massive aha moment, they have a big breakthrough, they hear something, they experience something that just makes the light bulb in their head, it just go bing. For example, there's someone who smokes, they've been smoking their entire life, and they hear a statistic, or they hear a quote, or they see, or they listen to a story about someone who's been smoking, and that just cuts them deep, and boom, all of a sudden, from that moment onwards, they never pick up a cigarette ever again. So that's the first time where they experience a big breakthrough, have a big insight, and that just changes their life forever. Now, that first one is actually quite rare. People don't experience these epiphanies, these breakthroughs as often as they'd like. So you can't really change, if we're talking about stuttering here, you can't really change your stutter by hoping and longing for this big aha moment. That just isn't realistic. It's very unlikely that's going to happen. Now, the second type is when they change their environment. So someone who's usually been eating a lot of junk food, they've tried to go on diets, they've tried to hire a personal trainer, they've tried all types of things, but they just can't seem to shed any weight. Then all of a sudden, they go to a completely new city, or they go to a completely new environment where these new behaviors that they want to adopt, like eating healthily, exercising regularly, they just become so easy. They're just so natural. Maybe you live with a roommate who just eats clean food, or you go to a city where you can't find the junk food that you usually like in your old city. And this brings about this new change that you want in your life. So that's the second type. Now, again, if you want to change your stutter, for example, to change your environment isn't so easy for most people, is it? So we can't rely on changing our environment to bring about this change in our speech or in any behavior for that matter. Now, the last way rather, someone brings about a change in their life, a change in their behavior, and instill a new habit in their life is through tiny increments. And in this example, I want to focus on stuttering specifically. Now, if you want to change your stutter, if you're someone who's been stuttering your entire life, there are all of these different cogs in the machine of stuttering. There's your eye contact, there's the breathing, there's the self-acceptance, there's what you think in your head. There are all of these 1,000,001 moving parts with your stutter. And if you try to do them all at once, you simply will be overwhelmed and you'll make zero progress, and you'll end up coming back to what you're comfortable, even if that comfort is something that you don't necessarily enjoy. When we don't have a strategy or when we don't have a clear plan or a process to follow, we always return to what's familiar, to our comfort zone. But if you break down each and every single thing into tiny little increments, and I mean tiny, so instead of looking at the whole stuttering machine as one big thing, you break it down into all of its separate components, and then you break it down even more, and then you break it down into something that you can do in literally 5 seconds a day. So let's take the example of eye contact. Maybe you're someone who looks away when you're in the middle of a block, when you're stuttering. If that's the case, instead of thinking, I'm gonna work on my eye contact, no, literally bring it down to its most minute component, which is maybe I'm going to maintain eye contact for 1 second while stuttering. And then you make that your goal. And the next time you're in a situation where you're blocking, you give yourself that very easy target of maintaining eye contact for 1 second. And you do it, and then you celebrate that small win. You give yourself a pat on the back, you fist pump the air, you do something to just reinforce your subconscious that you've done something well, a small win. And then once you do that, you do it again, and then you do it again, and then eventually you're gonna find, hold on, I could do it for 1 second, I could maybe do it for 2 seconds, and then you push it up to 5 seconds, and then you build up that muscle of, hold on, if I can do it for 5 seconds, surely I can do it for 30 seconds. And then a minute, before you know it, you've mastered eye contact. Now that's done. You've cleared that away. Solid, absolutely solid. And then you move on to the next component. Maybe it's your breathing. Maybe it's your emotions. Maybe you feel very anxious every time it's your turn to speak on a Zoom call, and you feel that anxiety. And then you set yourself a very easy target that you can accomplish in 1 or 2 seconds or 5 seconds. And then you do that, and then you build up, you build up, you build up, and then you move on to the next, and then you move on to the next. All of a sudden, you're creating all of these new behaviors that are stacking on top of each other. And then before you know it, literally within a couple of months, you are a whole new person. You have all of these new tiny habits that you've stacked on top of each other, and by doing so, you've literally transformed your whole self. Now, I don't think I can overstate just how powerful it is what I'm talking about. These tiny atomic habits that you can instill in 5 to 10 seconds, 1 or 2 seconds, they can transform and balloon into powerful habits that can transform your life. And this works with any behavior that you want to instill in your life, any new habit. It can be stuttering, it can be learning a new language, it can be exercising. You literally bring it down to its most basic level. So if you want to start working out, for example, you don't say, I'm going to work out 5 days a week for an hour each time. No, you bring it down and say, I'm going to exercise for 2 minutes in the morning. And you do it for 2 minutes, and then you stop, because 2 minutes is easy. Anyone can do 2 minutes. And then the next day you start again and do it for 2 minutes, and then you build up, you build up, you build up, you build that muscle up, and it becomes easier and easier and easier until eventually you're on autopilot and you're doing it without any sort of internal resistance. I hope you found this video useful. Before you go on to the next video, why don't you try making a list of 1 or 2 behaviors or habits that you want to start to instill in your life this year, and then make it as simple and as small as possible, and start chipping away at it starting from today without delay. Easy, 5-10 seconds, boom, anyone can do it. All right, thank you so much. See you all in the next video. Peace.